Value by Kendall Hippolyte.
Kendall Hippolyte was born in the year 1952. He is a Caribbean poet, professor, and playwright who has won many awards for his writing. His poems capture the rhythms of Caribbean speech, giving them a distinctive flavor. Night Visions and Birthright are some of his well-known collections of poems. Students, this poem is a free verse poem. A free verse poem does not use rhythm or patterns, and they vary freely in length of lines, stanzas, and subject. An example is given here of the poem Revenge. When I find out who took the last cookie out of the jar and left me a bunch of stale old messy crumbs, I am going to take me a handful and crumb up someone's bed. So this is a poem with free verse. Children, memories can have a deep effect on how we feel about new experiences. I believe you too may be having some childhood memories that have left a lasting impression in your mind. Now we'll read on to find out what happened to a neighborhood shop that the poet used to visit in his childhood. In those days, all shops were called Ma This or Mr. That. One shop my mother used to send me to was called Ma Branch. I did go playing with my shadow all the way, trying to outrun it on the Methodist church wall. The poet here remembers about his childhood. During his childhood, his mother would send him to one particular grocery shop. It was named as Ma Branch. In those days, shops were named as Ma This or Mr. That is, after the titles, the names of the persons were given based on their gender. Ma goes for the females and Mr. goes for the males. There the poet would go playing during the noon, and thus his shadow would fall on the way and on the Methodist church wall. Here Methodist church are a sect that's separated from the Christian church. They believe in leading a holy life and studying the Bible thoroughly, dodging it away from other feet or suddenly stopping it, chanting my list meanwhile so I would not forget. Half lb saltfish, 1/4 bottle oil, 4-pound keg butter, 1 blue soap, 2 cough drops. Over and over till I reached the shop. Here the poet wanted to dodge his own shadow, that is, he wanted to stop his own shadow. He would chant his own list, that is, generally the children keep doing, that is, they keep repeating again and again so that they wouldn't forget, as it had many things that his mother had called for, like half lb. Here lb is used as an abbreviation for pound, that is related to weight. Then we have 1/4 bottle oil, and then 4 pounds butter, 1 blue soap, 2 cough drops. So the child kept repeating again and again till he reached the shop. Of the two ladies selling, I liked the tall, dark, gleaming one, whose face I later recognized in Benin sculptor. She would set the things down one by one: gold, blue, lemon, dark white, speckled shapes, smells, rustling of paper. Here the poet remembers about the two ladies who sold the items. As we say, they are the sales girls. Out of the two, whom he liked was the tall, dark, gleaming one. That means whose face glowed, as the poet recognized or remembered about in the Benin sculptor. As you can see in the picture, the poet has compared the sales lady's face with the Benin sculptor. As in the store, the lady here would set everything one by one in order. Until I had a heap of pirates' treasure on the wooden counter Then she would slip the pencil from her hair, tear off a piece of shop paper, make a rope ladder of figures, and I would watch the pencil climb, drop, until I had a heap of pirate's treasure. This is a metaphor where the poet says that the goods on the shop's counter are as precious as a pirate's treasure. This means the lady in the shop would arrange all the items systematically. Then she would take out the pencil that's tucked in her hair. She would take a piece of paper, note down the items with its prices, and when she did this, the poet kept watching the movement of the pencil climbing and dropping, that is, going up and down. Thus, here, this is an example of personification where the pencil is imagined as a human being who is climbing up and dropping down. Ma Branch didn't sell. She sat down as comfortable as a barrel, amidst a larger treasure heap of bags and boxes, packages, cans, not missing a thing, collecting money, talking with customers. Some women came with notebooks and no money, regulars. Here the poet talks about the owner of the shop, that is Ma Branch, who didn't roam about in her store but kept seated comfortably as a barrel. Here she is compared to a barrel, that is, she sits amidst, that is, between the large valuable heaps of bags and boxes, packages and cans. Missing a thing, collecting money, that is, she would not miss anything and engage herself simply in collecting money, in talking to customers, to the few women, the regular customers who came simply with notebooks, that is, with the items which they wanted to purchase, but no money. Ma Branch on Friday when the man get pay, and sometimes a child whose mother couldn't write would speak up too loudly. Ma Branch, my mother say. Ma Branch on Friday when the man get pay. Ma Branch here, who gives items on credit, collects money on Friday, as few men of the house receive their salary by then. And sometimes a child whose mother couldn't write would speak up too loudly. Here, few children, when they visit her store, they would come to her telling loudly that my mother asked for so and so things from your store. Ma Branch had a miraculous set of balances in her head in which she weighed each separate request unhurriedly. No one ever took her for granted, yet I never saw her do otherwise eventually than bob her head to one side to a shop lady, then nod once the other side to an expectant customer. So here Ma Branch had a very good evaluation about people in her head. She weighed each person's request separately and unhurriedly, that is, without any hurry. She would discharge all her duties systematically, and no one took her for granted, because Ma Branch took her time in weighing each customer's request, and at that time customers would wait patiently. Everyone, including the regulars, would give reasons to Ma Branch requesting for credit and not just assume that they would get it anyhow. Then bob her head to one side to a shop lady, then nod once the other side to an expectant customer. These lines tells us that Ma Branch was quite a busy lady. One side she would bob her head to the shop lady, and on the other side she would nod to the expectant customers, that is, the customers expecting for something better, waiting for credit. By some commonly held scale of values now so strange, she gave all of them credit. Fascinated, I did hand over my money, wait for change, then race back past the church wall, followed by my shadow. These lines tells us that Ma Branch, after doing all the calculations in her head and it was so strange that she gave many people on credit the goods, that is, the facility of paying later. Fascinated, I did hand over my money, wait for change, then race back past the church wall, followed by my shadow. Now, here the poet would hand over the money and wait for the change from Ma Branch. Then he would race back, passing through the Methodist church, followed by his shadow. Years afterward, when seeking the darker shadow brought me home, I heard that she had died. There is a supermarket on that spot now. It's larger, well arranged, but it can't fill the space she occupied. These lines explains us that after years, when the poet returns home, he came to know that Ma Branch was no longer alive. Now, there is a supermarket on the same spot where Ma Branch's store was. The supermarket is larger, well arranged, but this supermarket cannot replace Ma Branch. Ma Branch's death left an irreplaceable gap because it symbolized the passing of a way of living and thinking, when people trusted and cared for each other. Her shop had been replaced by a larger, well arranged supermarket, but nobody could take her place. So, students, in this we learn that we should live the moments we have at our best, because right after those moments there will be just memories and nothing more. Life brings tears, smiles, and memories. The tears dry, the smiles fade, but the memories last forever. I hope, students, you have understood the poem. Thank you.